Hello everyone and welcome back to my studio, the Pottery Corner, down on the south coast of England near Chichester. Good to have you along again, welcome. Today we're going to be fixing the two pieces of the fountain together. If you watch my videos regularly, you'll know that the two pieces of the fountain have now been reglazed. So I originally glazed them with underglazes and then I wasn't very happy with it, so I have reglazed it, putting more glaze over the top. And this is the base section, and this enormous piece is the top section, and I want to fit the two together. But of course, as is always the way when you're making things in clay, it kind of fits, but it's just not quite there. So I've got to do a little bit of dremeling to get the two pieces to fit together. So what I've done is I have marked inside the piece with a Sharpie pen where the piece needs to be dremeled. So I'm going to be using just a simple Dremel, which is, you know, kind of a normal piece of kit, which comes in a bucket like this or a box like this, and then in the top of there are all the Dremel tops, which you think, oh, that's marvellous, lots of Dremel tops for me to play with, but you can't use those. Well, you can use them, but they rip them, clay will rip them to shreds. So what I use on my Dremel are diamond headed tips, and I bought this little box of diamond headed tips having used the diamond headed Dremel. So I started off with this one, which is actually from Dremel itself, and is a diamond headed tip, but actually I stripped that one quite quickly because it wasn't really a very good shape. As you can see, I'm only using the very top of the actual piece itself when I'm dremeling or when I'm grinding. So it did strip that one quite quickly. And these Dremel ones, these actual, you know, authorised Dremel ones are quite expensive. I think these were about £5 or £6 each. So if you're going to go through a Dremel head each time you're doing kiln shelves or whatever, then it can be quite expensive. So on Amazon, I went to this company and bought myself this little pack of diamond topped drill bits which fit the Dremel, and they're really useful, and I have only used one up till now. I've just put a new head in, which is actually the same shape as this one, but this is the one that I have been using. And as you can see, because it's actually all over, you're not just using the Dremel tip in one place. So you're getting more coverage when you're using it. So that's the one that I have used before. And indeed, I've popped it back in the pack because it's still got some wear on it. And quite useful to have these different shaped heads for different things that you may want to do. So that's the company that I've bought them from on Amazon. And as I say, they came very quickly, as most things on Amazon do. So I have to wear glasses because otherwise I can't see what I'm doing close up. And when I'm dremeling, I always wear a pair of safety glasses because you just don't know what's going to fly in your face. So be sensible, wear a pair of safety glasses. Now these go over the top of my glasses, which is quite handy really, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to see what I was doing. So I have my safety glasses on. As I say, I've marked the neck of this piece where I know that it needs to be dremeled. And then I have a bucket of water and a sponge. It doesn't matter what type of sponge it is, but just a sponge. Because I don't want to be breathing in dry clay particles. So I'm actually going to use the sponge in one hand and the Dremel tool in the other. In fact, I'm left-handed, so I'm going to do it the other way around. And use the Dremel tool in the other hand, and then keep the surface wet because I don't want it to be dry. So I'm going to start doing some dremeling, and I hope that you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to bring the camera in a bit closer just so that you can see what I'm doing, and it may give you some ideas. Okay, so I've had a little go. I'm just going to wipe the rim of the sort of slushy clay from where it's been wetted. And I've done a little bit on there, as you can see. And you can see how easy it is to use a Dremel. It's very, very simple to use. And with the diamond tips on the end, it really just cuts through the clay body, which has obviously been glaze fired, so it's quite tough, like butter. So it's really easy, and I find it much easier to control a Dremel with a tiny tip on than I would do if I was using an angle grinder. And in fact, angle grinders frighten the pants off me because I just think they're a dangerous thing. So this is how I keep it under control. And as I say, I use a sponge to keep the surface wet so that I'm not breathing in the dust that's being produced by the Dremel itself. So I don't want to be inhaling that dust, so I use a sponge to keep it wet, and then, as I say, it just makes a wet slurry which you just wipe off with a sponge. So I'm going to carry on doing that. Once I've actually got the two pieces to fit together, then I'm going to come back to you and let you know what I'm going to do next. So I'll catch you in a mo. You'll also note that I'm wearing an apron because using the water you do get a little bit of splash, so make sure you wear a protective apron just to protect your clothes. Right, let's see if this is going to go on here now. It's very close. It's I think it's there actually. If I look underneath and make sure that it's actually sitting in. I think there's just a tiny bit on that back section there, which we will do again. So this is a inch by inch process, as you can tell. So back on with the goggles, back on with the Dremel. We're just about there, but I'm just going to make sure that it fits solid in this section so that I'm not worried about it falling out. Right, so quick wipe, and let's see if we're there now. I think there's just one tiny point, how annoying. I'm going to mark on the base section and on the top section exactly where this fits, because obviously if it does get taken apart, I'd like to know where it goes back together. So I'm just using a blue Sharpie pen to just make a mark on both pieces so that I can see where it goes together. In fact, I'm going to use the red one because then I should be able to see. Just so that I can use that as a location point when I take the two pieces away. that I know that this little red circle here and the corresponding red circle on the top fit together. So I've just got one tiny bit on the side, and then I'm quite happy that that's going to fit. So back on with the goggles, back on with the Dremel. So that you can see underneath here, this actually is now turning as one piece without the top moving at all. The reason that I'm having to do a little bit of dremeling is because these pieces have been fired individually because they are too big to go into my kiln as one piece. So I always knew that we would have a little bit of a problem trying to get the two pieces joined together, but as you can see, this is a nice fit round here. I don't have to worry that if the water gets in, because it is glazed around the base of the top piece and around the collar of the bottom piece, so we've got a nice join there. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that it's level, and it's wildly out at the moment and I need to prop up this corner, so I'm just going to go and find myself something suitable to do that with. Right, so we've got it level, which is good, and I'm just going to fill it with water. Right, there we are. It's now lovely and full of water, and you can see the turtles, which is rather lovely. So I'm just going to pop the sun has literally just gone in, but there should be enough sun hopefully to get that to start. And as you can see, you just pop it into the top of your water feature, and then it magically sprays the water whilst the sun is out. As you can see, it's now stopped because there's not enough light to power it. But just a moment ago, it was lovely and sunny when I started moving the fountain. It'll come on again in a minute, and then it intermittently comes on during the day, which is really rather nice. Now obviously some of the water is going to spill over the side, and that's quite normal, so we do fill up the fountain bowl on another fountain that we've got every sort of 2 or 3 days, but nonetheless it's a small price to pay to have a water feature in your garden. So I'm just going to leave Cissy's come to join us, if you can see her. Leave the fountain for a moment and wait for the sun to come out so that you can see it in all its glory. As you can see, the sun's come out and the fountain's now working in all its glory. So this has been a long project of building and glazing and then reglazing and refiring, so I'm really pleased with how it's come out, and this is actually going to go into an exhibition that I have coming up later in the year at Chichester Cathedral in July, so I'm really pleased that it's come through in one piece. But in the meantime, I shall enjoy watching it this afternoon as it's all set up, and enjoyed sharing the project with you. So thank you very much for viewing as ever. More Top Tip Tuesdays and tutorials to come, so do subscribe to my channel for new content coming out every week. In the meantime, I'll say stay safe and well everybody, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.